Hey guys, what is up? Chris here with Cohesive Friendship Unit. Just me today. So you guys seem to have liked my Everything We Know About Dragon's Dogma 2 video, and this is going to be a small update to that. The main reason why I haven't made another video about it is because there hasn't been much to talk about. I, reviewed the facts in that video, and that was that. But we recently got a leak, if you can call it that, definitely a rumor, maybe a leak, from an anonymous forum. So yeah, as always, take this with a grain of salt. We don't usually cover anonymous stuff, but since it's been a hot minute since anything's come out to even talk about, rumors even about Dragon's Dogma 2, I thought now would be a good time to dive into it. I want to go over what's listed and kind of my thoughts on it. And then at the end, I'm going to kind of talk about how legit I think that this is. But before we get into all that, we are doing a giveaway. All you have to do is be subscribed to win a copy of Risk of Rain 2 on your platform of choice. This channel has a lot of content on Risk of Rain 2. We love that game. So yeah, if you like this, please throw us a like and sub us if you love us. More details on the Risk of Rain 2 thing is in our community tab. So I'm just going to run down the list of things and have a discussion about them. The provisional name for Dragon's Dogma 2 is Project Bella. Sure, whatever. It's a next-gen action/tactical RPG. Again, yeah, that makes sense. This gen's over, pretty much. We probably would have known about the game if it was coming out this gen at this point. It's basically Dragon's Dogma soft rebooted another universe. Now this is this is the first point where I start to doubt this rumor already. I don't think that they would have another universe per se for Dragon's Dogma. I think a soft reboot is one thing, but a whole nother universe is another. For the core reason that Netflix is making an anime of Dragon's Dogma. The description of that anime is already up. You can read it. It seems off to me unless Capcom and Netflix are working very closely together and that anime is going to reflect, you know what I mean? It would be weird for an anime to come out roughly within the time that the game comes out and them be like radically different products. So unless they're working pretty closely on this kind of new canon, this new reboot, I'm kind of doubting it. And again, I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world if they were totally different, but it would be awkward to have them be tied together under the same Dragon's Dogma banner. The next thing is one starting class, that class being the Explorer, followed by 4 main classes and 12 subclasses. This seems fair. The one thing that I'm not totally jiving with is the one starting class, specifically because I don't see why you would have one starting class unless that starting class, the Explorer, is literally like the first few hours of the game. That seems kind of weird because it worked pretty well in Dragon's Dogma where you could just pick one of the 3 classes and then you could kind of change between them at will. Unless there's like a good reason for this, it doesn't really seem necessary. But again, it is possible. Ultimately having 12 subclasses and 4 main seems pretty similar to Dragon's Dogma 1. So yeah, that lines up. That's a pretty safe bet. Next is single player plus 3 players co-op available only at Frontier Dungeons, player plus pawn. So yeah, I think co-op is something a lot of people have kind of been clamoring for, at least in the comments of my Everything We Know About Dragon's Dogma 2, including myself. That's co-op play is definitely something that everyone has been wanting, especially in the dungeons, not even necessary in the overworlds, but maybe some kind of raid thing. And it kind of makes sense, right? Like, your pawns are basically arisen. Like, they're in there. They're just not player controlled. And yeah, this makes sense. I think this is almost expected in a sequel, and the way that it seems like things might be borrowed from Monster Hunter, it seems like co-op play is very realistic for Dragon's Dogma 2. And especially it only being available in the dungeons. Again, not a whole lot of reason to have it available in the overworld, and I could see a restriction being made, and this is the time when you have to log into the server or whatever. It would make sense. I would be totally fine with that personally. That being said, I do think keeping the asynchronous multiplayer of Dragon's Dogma with the pawns, where you can still rent other people's pawns during parts of the game, is still really fun, unique, critical, hasn't been done before, and they should keep doing that. Next is full character creator only for your pawn, vastly improved. I don't buy that for a second for a number of reasons. One, I again have a feeling that some notes will be shared between this and Monster Hunter. They're fairly similar, same publisher, etc. I think it would be a huge mistake to not have a character creator. Part of the reason Dragon's Dogma got its clout was for the insane detail of the character creator, and it would just be strange to have every Arisen look the same, to me at least. I don't understand why that restriction would take place, especially if they already have the character creator and it's only going to be used for the pawn. This just seems like a big system to make and not use. The Arisen will wear a mask that cannot be removed. It's all tied to the curse. Again, also, that seems like a mistake to me, and a really easy way to save on facial animation. Speaking of the curse, break the curse is the provisional tagline. I mean, yeah, that's fine. That could work. Break the curse. Although I don't know if this would have like a huge marketing campaign like Halo had Finished the Fight and everyone knew what that was about. I'm not sure if there would be a tagline for this. Not open world, but vast regions. Quote, fuck ton of dungeons and procedural underground tower. So I assume when they say not open world but vast regions, that basically means like what Dragon's Dogma is now, where it's not an open world, but it's big central map. And I like the lot of dungeons. I think we all agree that Bitter Black Isles was a huge boon to this game, to the original Dragon's Dogma, and keeping that kind of thing, like deep, long, 10-ish hour even dungeons where you do a lot of heavy lifting and hard grinding. I think the more of those the better. That really worked well, and they could really capitalize on doing more. And also a procedural part I myself have thought of that definitely makes sense. A lot of the dungeons in Dragon's Dogma already feel procedural, so it wouldn't be bad to have some kind of procedural content be generated. I would be largely in fan of that. There will be some sort of housing and camp/settlement management. That seems a lot like Fallout 4. It seems like unnecessary stuff. It does seem like something that a developer would add to say that they added it as a feature. It just, do that feature pile, but it doesn't seem like that doesn't excite me personally. Let me know down below if that excites you. I expect random ambushes with patrolling based on weather, time, and curse. So that does actually seem like a marked improvement over the original Dragon's Dogma. That seems like a welcome addition, because you basically memorize the routes, and for some things that's good. Like, it's good to know a certain dragon's here if you want to go farm that, or there's a chance for a certain thing to spawn or a certain boss. But in general, I think random ambushes and stuff would go a long way in Dragon's Dogma. That way you can't cheese the game as much, and it can really ratchet up tension in some moments where you're exploring way out into the tips of the map. The core team being 90 people and pre-production ending last September, I mean, that is what it is. But it being developed on the RE engine that's heavily tweaked with some middleware, that does sound very likely. The Dragon's Dogma 1 was developed using the tools that were used in Resident Evil 4, for example, so using and Devil May Cry. So using that next iteration of the engine, the RE engine, which was used in Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 2 Remake, etc. That just makes sense. That's Capcom's main engine at the moment, and it's doing wonders for them. So yeah, let's talk about if I think this rumor has any validity at all. I am putting it in the low-ish for a couple of reasons. I think a lot of these are relatively safe in that, yeah, there's going to be 12 subclasses. Yeah, that seems pretty fair. There's going to be big, deep dungeons, procedurally generated even. That's also a fair guess. Co-op, also a fair guess. But pretty much any time they go beyond like what's kind of expected from the sequel, I think their case falls apart. Like, not being able to alter your character seems very weird to me. The settlement management also doesn't really seem to fit in with how I at least imagine Dragon's Dogma. The soft reboot as a whole taking place in another universe also seems a little weird to me. Maybe it's the way that they typed it and it's just like, yeah, we're kind of throwing out the old in with the new, but it is basically the same. Then I'd be more open to it, but all in all, it seems fishy for an anonymous post. That being said, it did get some traction, so I am glad that there is still and are still people that are speaking about this game, speaking positively about this game. I do sincerely hope that we will be getting an update soon, and the next project has already been started by the old director of Dragon's Dogma, so it seems fairly likely that we will be hearing about what that next project is sooner rather than later. I don't know, maybe in 12, 18 months, which is, I know I say sooner, but we've waited how many, 7, 8 years now at this point. So hopefully it is Dragon's Dogma 2, but that's all for me, guys. Let me know what you think of this rumor. Is it real? Is it fake? That's all for me, and I will catch you next time.